Hello, happy hump day, and welcome to today's Live and Learn. We're going to be talking about the keto diet. Is it safe? So, once again, I am your host, Yentel Lega. I am a holistic dietitian and certified mental health professional, and my passion is helping you, mostly hardworking women, find their health, their balance, and their beauty-filled life. So, welcome. Good afternoon or good evening. It's good evening over here. It's 8 o'clock. So let's get right to it. So, what is the keto diet? And I do apologize. I have this little one over here that she is demanding attention. So, hope you don't mind her popping her head in a little bit. So, the keto diet, we have become keto obsessed. It is everywhere. So we are seeing tons of people talking about it, tons of products promoting the keto diet. So what is it? And the classic keto diet, or the traditional keto diet, it's actually the ketogenic diet. It was actually it has been widely and successfully used to treat epilepsy in children when the medications were not working. This actually started in the 1920s. So give me a little heart or a wow face if you're on Facebook, if this is the first time you hear of something like this. So the other thing too, it's something that it was previously reserved as a last resort. So whenever the medications weren't working to treat the seizures for the children, then that's when the keto diet was started. So it is something that is usually, or not usually, it is prescribed by a doctor. It's usually a neurologist, and it is actually very carefully monitored as well by the doctor and a dietitian. It is a very strict diet, and it requires very careful measurements of the fat, of the carbs, of the protein, and of fluid. So food is measured and weighed. So it is a very strict diet. So the name ketogenic, it actually means that it produces ketones in the body. So keto means ketones, genic means producing. So it's like a keto producing diet. What that means is that the body uses fat as its source of energy. So usually our body uses carbohydrates as its source of energy. Carbohydrates, again, are fibers, starches, and sugar that's found in vegetables, fruits, grains, legumes, and milk products. So we usually get our energy from there. But because the ketogenic diet is very low in carbs, then it ends up using fat primarily for fuel. So the keto diet is actually designed to create and maintain a state of ketosis, meaning the state of your body using fat for energy. And ketones or ketone bodies can be detected through the bloodstream, through the urine, and through the breath, and they're not necessarily dangerous. So although the mechanism is not really clearly understood as to how a ketogenic diet really helps children with epilepsy, one of the theories is that those ketone bodies actually have an anti-convulsant effect. So before I go on, I know I want to interact a little bit more with you. Give me a thumbs up if this is all interesting so far, or a little heart, or a little wow face if this is something, again, that's totally new to you. And I am going to try to keep this to no more than 30 minutes. So I'll keep it open to questions and all of that as well. So there are two types actually of keto diets or ketogenic diets. So there's the traditional ketogenic diet, and then there's the MCT, or the medium chain triglyceride diet, keto diet. So the traditional approach, that's the one that was developed in the 1920s. and it is the stricter version. It's actually 75% of the calories come from fat, and protein is then calculated to what is appropriate for the child's growth. And then whatever is left over is the carbs. And also fluids is very carefully controlled. So before I talk about the second version of the ketogenic diet, I do have a little visual here to show you how strict that is, or how different it is from the usual. So I know my drawings are not the best. So, oh man, on Facebook, you can't see the colors. I know. So, okay, let me start with Instagram here first, and then I'm going to see if I can adjust it on Facebook so you guys can see it. So here, you see what is average, or the what is considered like what is for a healthy person is to have 50% carbs, about 30% protein, and 20% fat. On the keto diet, it's about, again, my drawing is horrible. So for the children, it's about 75% fat, whatever is calculated for protein for their needs for growth, and then whatever's left over is carbs. So the carbs is minimal or negligible. So let me see if I can show my Facebook peeps. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. There we go. So you can see I have to move back a lot. So again, what's normal is carbs, protein, fat like this. And then what's in the keto is, you see the bigger percentage of the fat, the protein, and a very small amount of the carbs. So with the second type of ketogenic diet, which is with the medium chain triglyceride, which is MCT, it's a type of triglyceride, meaning it's a type of fat that is derived from a food source. It is naturally found. MCT is actually naturally found in milk fat, coconut oil, and palm kernel oil. But usually with the keto diet for children, MCT oil is used, which is a commercial MCT oil. It's derived from margarine, so it's synthetic. And the reason why there's the second version is because there are, again, because this is assessed very carefully, there are certain children, infants, or adolescents that may need more carbs and protein. So to allow for a variety, more of a bigger variety, less strict. Fluids are not controlled in this one, so it may be even for children whose fluids we don't want to limit. The MCT oil is used because then the MCT oil, the fat, can keep that state of ketosis without the diet having to be so strict. But it is still pretty strict, so just to give you an idea. Now, does this sound complicated? Let me know, say yes if it sounds complicated, or put a heart or a thumbs up if does this sound complicated to you so far. And if it sounds complicated, that's because it is. So this is actually something that, again, has to be very carefully monitored. Usually with either diet, with either approach, whether it's the MCT approach or whether it's the traditional approach, they typically are started in the hospital setting for children. So the child traditionally would go through a fast, which is, they are able to have water but no food whatsoever, under very close medical supervision for about 18 to 24 hours. So the reason why they would do the fasting is because it accelerates that state of ketosis, but it doesn't necessarily make the the keto diet more beneficial. So that's why a lot of clinics and hospitals are no longer doing that fasting period. But still, for initiating the diet, the primary reason why they admit children in this very supervised setting is because they want to make sure that the seizures don't increase, because there's a concern with that as well. And they want to ensure that the medications are being adjusted well, and that the families are educated too, because this is a diet that they will have to continue at home. And it's actually one of those diets that if one day you don't follow it, then it kind of takes away the whole ketosis part and almost like starting all over. And it can be dangerous for the child because at the same time, the medications are being adjusted, the medications for their epilepsy. So initiating the keto diet is very intense. And children and their families do need a lot of support, a lot of psychosocial support, to really ensure compliance with it, because the compliance can be very difficult. And again, to make sure that they check in on the health status, on the growth and development of the child. So what are the benefits of the keto diet? So why put the children through this? So really, over half of the children that go on the keto diet have about, or at least a 50% reduction in their seizures, in the number of their seizures. And some children, probably about 10 to 15% of them, can actually even become seizure-free. And there's also been proven results that the medications can be reduced, the dosage of the medications can be reduced. So in the long run, administering this keto diet also reduces the cost of care for children with epilepsy. Now, it doesn't only benefit children with epilepsy. They have also found that it can be helpful for people with SIBO. SIBO is, let me see if I get it right, because I always forget. It's small intestine bacterial overgrowth. So it is a digestive issue that, or GI issue that some people may experience. And the diet, what it does, it helps to starve the harmful bacteria so that the good bacteria can grow. But this is something that doesn't work for everybody, and it is, again, a temporary diet. And the same goes for the children. So even though it's a very intense, very strict diet, fortunately for children and their families, it's something that is not administered for the long term. It is something that can be administered just for several months or up to 2 to 3 years, but not a forever thing. So just to talk about some of the common side effects, there's constipation, vomiting, lack of energy, and hunger. Some of the longer term side effects with the ketogenic diet for children is kidney stones, high cholesterol in the blood, slow growth in the children, and bone fractures. So that's because there isn't enough vitamins and minerals in this diet. So even though they are required to be supplemented with a multivitamin, they are constantly being monitored to check for any other vitamin or mineral deficiencies. So, okay, so what you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with the keto diet and weight loss? Probably thinking, okay, we went through this whole spiel of epilepsy. So what does it have to do with weight loss? And does it benefit adults with epilepsy? So if you're wondering that, give me a thumbs up or a heart. Let me know what you think. If you want to know more, but even if you don't, I'm still going to let you know. So first, does it benefit adults with epilepsy? And the answer is no, actually. There isn't conclusive evidence of the ketogenic diet being beneficial for adults. Actually, there's the opposite effect. There's actually more negative results from the keto diet than there are positive. And so where did this whole weight loss craze come from? In the 1970s, there was a popularized diet that was very low carb and high fat that had a 2-week, like a very strict 2-week ketogenic phase. It was a doctor. So it starts with an A. If any of you know what that is, you can put it in the comments below. See if you can guess what diet I'm talking about. But this doctor took notice of the weight loss that was taking place in the children that were on the ketogenic diet. And ever since then, there have been different versions of this diet being popularized for weight loss. So if you don't know what that diet was, it was the Atkins diet. So even though that the diet can provide initial rapid weight loss, it actually levels out in the sense that you don't end up losing any more weight than you would have doing another diet or making different changes to help you get to a weight where you feel comfortable or your healthy weight. Sorry, let me put her down. So yes, it has been helpful for rapid weight loss, but it's not a superior diet to other ones. It's actually another fad diet, as we are seeing that we're seeing so many products saying that it's, keto friendly, keto diet, keto product, or whatever, keto supplement. And it's really another fad. It's another yo-yo diet. Now, the big concern is it safe? Okay, I want to lose weight and I want to lose it fast. So is it safe for me to go on this diet? And honestly, there really isn't enough evidence to prove that it is safe. And there's actually evidence to show that it is not. So some of the things that it does, it affects greatly 3 major organs in your body. It affects your liver, it affects your kidneys, and it affects your gut. And actually, those 3, interestingly enough, are the natural detoxifying systems in your body. So you're messing with those, you're messing with a whole host of things in your health. First of all, let's start with the liver. So a high fat diet, especially heavy on the animal protein, it can affect the liver. It can hurt the liver. So if you're someone who's already compromised with your liver, you have fatty liver, or you were found to have your liver enzymes high, or even if there's a history of any liver conditions or health conditions in the family, it is not a safe diet to take on. The kidneys. If your kidneys are being overworked with a lot of protein, then it's also a concern, and it's not going to be able to naturally detoxify, release the toxins of your body. So again, the same thing if you're someone who's already has issues with your kidneys, whether it's kidney stones, or if you've even tend to have urinary tract infections, although even though it's not your kidneys per se, but urinary tract infections are connected to the kidneys, then the keto diet is not a safe diet to take on. And next is the gut. So the gut has beneficial bacteria in it that helps kind of keep that balance in your body, that homeostasis, that it fights off the what's harmful and protects the good and absorbs the good. So what happens with the ketogenic diet is that we are eliminating a lot of the starches, and the body, our gut, actually uses starch. It ferments the starch to create what is called prebiotics. So prebiotics is actually the food that feeds your probiotics, and your probiotics are your beneficial bacteria. So when you are depriving your body of these beneficial bacteria, then it can cause a lot of issues as well. Not only that, but there's something else that the keto diet is lacking. A major thing, that the carbs provide. So think about it this way. If you are constipated, what is usually recommended for you to add into your diet? And if you know this, put it in the comments. What is usually added into what is recommended for you to have more of if you're constipated? And I know this is probably a little bit delayed, so I'll tell you. It is fiber. So because like I mentioned earlier, thank you, Ashley, you mentioned it. So it's probably a little bit delayed, but yes, fiber, you're right. Fiber is what is recommended, and because fiber is found in carbohydrates, a ketogenic diet is extremely deficient of fiber. So that's why one of the common side effects is constipation. But if you aren't able to release what your body is trying to release, then you're keeping toxins in your body that can just make a whole host of things worse for your body. So think about it this way. The foods in the ketogenic diet, like the fats and the protein, the animal protein specifically, it's very pro-inflammatory. So pro-inflammatory meaning that it keeps your body at a stress state. It increases the cortisol, the hormone cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Now, although the stress hormone is good, it's in the sense of it's that fight or flight response. If there's something up, something wrong, something that you have to deal with, some threat, then your body is able to respond to it and actually build resistance to it. Kind of like, think about it as your immune system. You get sick, in a way, it's that your body building resistance to it so that you, the next time you encounter that, then you're not as susceptible, you're stronger, you can have more resistance towards it. So yes, the hormone cortisol is beneficial, but when you're at a chronic state of stress, that's in a chronic state of inflammation in the body, it can lead to a lot of chronic conditions like diabetes, heart disease, even cancer. So, and autoimmune diseases. So if you're someone with an autoimmune condition, the ketogenic diet is also can be harmful because it can cause more flare-ups of your condition because it is keeping that inflammation state. And when you have autoimmune diseases or any of these other conditions, you want the opposite. You want anti-inflammatory. So I'm going to answer a question here. What are your unbiased thoughts about this carnivore diet I've been hearing? It's hard to believe it's actually legit for lean muscle, but some sources claim it is. So is that like I'm guessing the paleo diet, that it's like more like, it's putting away the grains, for example, because that's not what we you were like originally ate as cave people. I think that's the diet that you're talking about in terms of the carnivore diet. So again, it goes back to when we're trying to build muscle. What you eat doesn't necessarily build that muscle. So this is important to address. Your workouts, when you're doing resistance or any muscle training, it's what's tearing the muscle per se, muscle fibers, and then your body's rebuilding itself and getting more muscle. So the protein actually acts as what helps to accelerate that healing process. So it doesn't help build the muscle. It helps rebuild the muscle, if that makes sense. And the source of protein, it can come from meats or it can come from a plant-based source like beans, peas, like your legumes. So it doesn't necessarily have to come only from animal protein. So I hope that helped answer your question. It doesn't, going for a more animal protein, like primarily focusing on more animal products, is very pro-inflammatory to the body. So you do want to have you do want to still have a lot of plant-based foods in there and not focus so much on just one thing. So in conclusion, and you can ask your questions as I conclude here, or mention any comments that you like. But in conclusion, although the ketogenic diet, there's enough evidence to prove that it is beneficial for children with epilepsy, children who have drug-resistant epilepsy. So it has been proven to be effective for that population. And although it can also accelerate weight loss, it is a diet that can be very hard to follow, first of all, and it is very, very heavy on high fat and animal protein, which we don't have enough long-term studies to really prove that this could be beneficial in the long term. There have been short-term benefits that we have seen. There have been people that said, apart from the weight loss, my sugars have gone down, my cholesterol has gone down, but there's a lot of evidence showing that could be attributed to the weight loss, not necessarily the diet. And there have been a lot of even short-term evidence showing that this taken in the long term can be more detrimental than beneficial. So apart from that, we also have to know the long-term effects of yo-yo dieting. It increases mortality, as well as a low carb diet also increases mortality. There have been already studies that have shown that not only a high carb diet, but also a low carb diet can increase mortality. And that's why it's recommended to have the carbs about 50%, like how I was showing in the chart earlier. So really, in the end, instead of engaging in the next popular diet that would last maybe only a few weeks to months, for some people, or sometimes a year for people with the ketogenic diet, really just try to embrace change that is sustainable over the long term. And especially that would be more beneficial to you and your health, because you are so much more than just your weight, and your physical health is weighed more than just that number on the scale. So let me know if you have any questions. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have seen their comments here on Facebook. I'm sorry, it didn't scroll up for me. But yes, Kate, you're right. Yes, you're absolutely right. She says it once again, it comes down to balance. And that balance is is something that can look different with each person. So if you'd like more info on that, check out the Mindful Eating 101 Live and Learn that we went over. It's in the replays either on my Facebook page or on my YouTube channel as you unfolded. Check out the Mindful Eating 101 tips, also the Intuitive Eating part 1 and part 2, because it does help you to find how you can find what your balance is for you, what health is for you. So again, then next week, I'll be coming back here. It'll be Wednesday, and I do apologize for switching the dates out of nowhere, but life happens. So I'll be back next week with another Live and Learn at 8 p.m. Eastern. And next week, we're going to change gears a little bit from diets and nutrition and talking more about body confidence and how to achieve body confidence. So we'll be talking about that next week. And then actually leave anything in the comments below if there are any health topics, nutrition topics that you'd like to have covered. Leave it in the comments below, and then also let me know if you learned something today. What was something that surprised you about today's talk? I'd really love to know, and I will see you all next week. All right, thank you guys, and remember to silence the standards because you are more. Bye.